6 days before my sophomore year. My dog and I, who had spent 10 years of our lives together, well, he died. And I don't know if you guys have ever lost a pet. I don't know if you've ever lost a member of your family, but it's the exact same thing. At least it is for me. It's really weird talking about it now, because for the first year or so, I couldn't say his name without crying. For the first few months, I didn't want to think of anything that wasn't pink, sugary, and superficial. The day that it happened, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself, because I was an X-Men roleplayer then. And I was an X-Men fanfiction writer then. And if you guys know anything about comic books are not a very happy place. So someone who needs desperately to be happy didn't have a place to turn. And I don't quite remember everything, but I remember grabbing my Monster High Book 2 off of my mini fridge and opening it up and finishing it. And I was only on chapter 2, and I finished the whole thing that night. And obviously I probably should have been focusing on my sleeping patterns, but it didn't really matter. I got into the series after that. That Christmas spanned 3 days because I bought so many dolls. It's kind of self-explanatory. That October was their first hour-long special, and I found my favorite character on there, even though the first time I saw her, I hated her. And I mean it, I hated her. I hated her. I hated her adorable boyfriend, who was also a nice, proper vampire. I hated them all, except for Draculaura, which, in hindsight, was a really bad decision, because I hate her now. Everything got reversed now. I don't know why I chose Gory. I don't, because I thought that everything was going to be changing. Abby and Draculaura were my favorites, and everything was light and happy, and no one was hurt, and no one felt pain, and then I started writing, and I started realizing that these characters were perfect for causing hurt and pain, and then I decided that I was going to write her backstory. Gory's. In about a month after she'd premiered. So, it spiraled out of control quickly. I started role-playing her not long after, and because I had absolutely no idea what her name was, I just decided to marry her off to her boyfriend. Which, you know, kind of doesn't matter, but either way, I kept with that. Gory's not a nice girl. And I know that you guys probably don't care at all what a children's franchise is about, but she's not. She's the antagonist. She's only been in 3 actual appearances, and despite the fact that she was supposed to have rectified everything with everyone at the end of the first one, she's been the antagonist since. She's always going to be the antagonist. And as much as I would like to say that I don't understand that I only do this for kicks, I completely understand where she's coming from. I'm kind of pretentious. I'm actually very pretentious. I'm not sure if you guys have realized that, but I am. I'm a gigantic nerd, and I like to be a grammar Nazi all the time. I like to correct people when they're wrong, even if I'm wrong, but, you know, it doesn't matter. I like to think that I'm right. I like to think that I'm the almighty supreme being of knowledge because I have a library within my house. Almost. It's a load of book stacks. But Gory is kind of the same way. In her own Bonnie and Clyde, I'm probably going to kick your ass if you look at me the wrong way kind of a way. People wouldn't think that someone with just dark humor and a vampire thing would attach to someone like that. But, you know, maybe you would. I don't know what normal people think. That's not my division. Gory and I were kind of a superficial one half of this, you know, split personality relationship for a while. She was in the top 5 of my muses constantly. constantly since I took her up. She was one of the characters that I actually cared about. And then I met my friend Josie. And Josie was one of the only literate Monster High role players on Twitter back then. And it was weird because I had this like barely active Draculaura blog and I liked Draculaura, but I wasn't like crazy about her. And I was kind of vaguely attached to a lot of them. And then she was like, oh, you should roleplay Gory on Tumblr. And I was, okay, because, you know, there was one person who had tried, who had abandoned it for like 6 months beforehand. So I took it up. And it was just, you know, okay, it's, you know, canon stuff's going on. I don't know what happened, but I committed to it. I think it had something to do with the magic and on that I'm not going to bring up because that's a whole nother story. But I committed to it. Big time. Like, I had spent a lot of the time analyzing her for character purposes beforehand. But then I went back and I watched everything that she'd been in 17,000 times. You know, just for a nice estimate. I focused on the little things. Like, the way she carried herself around Bram. The fact that, while the other girls were standing back, letting the guys face off against werewolves in this outsider-style rumble, she was right next to him like Bonnie to her Clyde. Like, if you're gonna take on the alpha, I'm gonna take on his beta, who's like 3 times my size and probably twice my weight, and I'm still gonna kick his ass. And that's Gory. That is Gory in a nutshell. And I've never been that kind of a person. I envied it. I do envy it. Because even now, if you let me do these things in person, I'm probably gonna just wuss out. But you put me behind a computer screen. You give me the fact that I'm her. And I have all the balls in the world. It's not an easy thing to be her. People hate her. And there's no buffer. It's actually really kind of awesome that people hate me, though. I mean, I think Eminem said once upon a time that if you weren't making enemies, you weren't doing something right. And I understand that. You know, I've had people for so long tell me that I wasn't good enough, tell me that I was, you know, the freak, the nerd, wrong, blame things on me. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore, because even though she's just old enough to know that, I feel like I'm just old enough to know that now. Like, everything that everyone ever says to me, I take it with a grain of salt. Because high school does not last forever. I won't see you guys after May. It doesn't matter what we do now, what we think of each other now, because most of us aren't even going to the pointless little reunions. Being her has taught me that you pick your battles. You pick the battles that are going to mean the most. You don't just sit by and let other people take over your territory. You make a throne, you have the zombies carry it, and you go to fight them, no matter how big they are against you. You don't let Monsanto get away with killing the things that I say. They criticize me for everything, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people say to me to my face. It doesn't matter what people say to me behind a screen. Because I've grown up. Everything that used to be weak and meaty is made of marble now. If words hurt vampires, there wouldn't be any left. Silver bullets don't kill vampires. Stakes do. And not a lot of these morons know how to put one in correctly. I ask myself, when I thought about writing the story, what you guys were going to take from this, why this matters in this moment. And I don't want to be preachy, but I want you guys to hear it for what it is. This is the truth. You stand up for yourself. You stand up for your beliefs. Don't be an asshole about it, but do it. What people say to you isn't going to matter later. They tell you you can't do it, you can. You just have to put the work into it. Okay, so maybe you're not the best at it. It doesn't matter. You do it. You keep doing it until you get it right. You'll be a master at it soon enough. It's weird because I do give out a lot of life advice to Gory. And I'm giving out a lot of life advice now, which I didn't think I'd be doing, but that's our default. When I think of myself in the first person plural, it's because of her. It's because there's not a her and a me. There's an us. I am Gory Fangtell. I am 369 years old. I do have an adorable blonde boyfriend who looks a little bit like Evan Peters. I'm happy. I don't care why other people would want me to not be happy. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Because once you've lived through God knows how many wars, once you realize that you could drop at any minute, anything could happen, and you have to seize life by its freaking horns, you do it. And I know that that's a heavy thing for teenagers to carry around, but it's true. You guys have seen how often people drop at this school, and I'm not saying it's a curse, I'm saying that it's life. Every moment someone's born, every moment someone dies. In the span of me talking right now, that's probably what's happened. Carpe